So you may remember from our first class, we talked about making first impressions, and especially a good first impression. So Forbes data says that we typically have about 7 seconds to make that first impression, good or bad. And so, for example, take this person. The picture on the left, if this fellow was showing up at Gold's Gym, going to apply to be a personal trainer, I'd say he certainly looks the role. And then look at the same individual in completely a different attire. And so it depends on the context that you see people in as to what you wear and what is suitable. And this is part of the first impression. So you can see that you could have a very dramatically different first impression just by looking at this one individual. But until you know the context, you don't really know whose attire is appropriate for the particular opportunity at hand. So there is an optional video that's just a humorous look at creating first impressions, and I'll let you watch that. I've put a link to it on the in the module itself. It's just a bit of a humorous look at first impressions. So first impression essentials. But the first thing that I want to stop here, as you know, each week we do a quiz. The quiz is embedded somewhere in the context of our module. And we typically let you know when the quiz answer arises. So this week's quiz answer is Homer Simpson. So please take a moment to go to the learning platform, check out the quiz and answer this quiz, because it is, you will need to affirm your attendance for this class. So Homer Simpson is the quiz answer. So what are some first impression essentials? Smiling, of course, that's absolute. Shaking hands, I do enjoy a handshake, I have to say. And yet, with all of the rules and regulations and restrictions around COVID for the past year and a half, what is the future of handshaking? I certainly hope we do get back to it. I mean, I know there's the elbow tap and the fist bump, but I don't know, there's something very formal about handshaking, but I hope we do get back to it, but its future is in flux right at the moment. So introduce yourself. Right? Just make sure, you know, that that people know who you are, what you're doing there. Speak clearly, maintain eye contact. And again, like our last slide, consider your attire. And as we mentioned in the LinkedIn section, when we were talking about social media, when you do your photo, you know, consider dressing in something that is appropriate for the work you want to attract, okay? That should be what you're thinking about. It shouldn't be a vacation photo with a margarita in your hand, as much as that's fun. Anyway, so think carefully about your attire. So this next part is a bit of an exercise that is artificial, of course, because we're doing this asynchronously. But the thing is, network often involves finding links you have with other people and building on them. You know, you can start a conversation around anything. And so this is an exercise that encourages you to look at the connections that you're making, who's choosing what, and then we'll have each time with each of the exercise components, we'll have a chance to debrief, and I'd like to hear about your decisions. And so you'll hear what some of your classmates have to say, and that could start a conversation in the future, because you'll say, hey, you and I chose the same thing. That's really cool. I'm curious to know why you did. So these are kind of like weird conversation starters, and it's just a way of saying that you can start a conversation around anything. So we're going to play an activity called Finding Connections. So it's an activity called Would You Rather. So I'm just going to get this started. We're going to launch a poll, and I'm going to get you to answer, would you rather do A or B, okay? And then we'll have a discussion. Maybe we'll get our videos turned on. We'll get some interactivity going and discuss each of these things. So I'm curious to know about your choices. So let's just go to our first one and I will show you what that is. Our first one is, would you rather be able to fly for one day or be completely invisible for one day? Okay, I'm going to launch the poll and then we'll see your responses and we'll have a chat about that.